Story 1. My husband had an affair and does not want to try to work out our marriage. I feel like I'm drowning and don't know how to start moving on. I've suspected things had been going on for a while, but kept brushing it off. I thought he would never do that to me. Since around April, he's been refusing my attempts to have sex most of the time, sitting differently on the couch to where he's facing away from me. Little things. It's with one of our good friends. She came to my house a few weeks ago. She's texted me. She's pretended to be there for me. I found out because I rolled over and they were having a Snapchat conversation. She said she wished she could be there to hold him, and he summarized that I tried to seduce him last night and mocked it. I confronted him and he admitted it. He said that it was because quarantine was stressful. He does not want to work things out. He thinks of me only as a friend in his heart. When I told her husband, he confronted her and apparently they actually kissed back in February. I think at that moment I was never going to be enough for him. We used to be so happy. The week before they kissed, we celebrated Valentine's Day together. He bought us a nice bottle of wine for our anniversary. We had fun, we were perfect. I don't know where to go from here. We've been married only about a year. I feel like he took so much from me and doesn't even want to go to therapy or work this out. I don't want to leave my house, but everywhere in it I see him. He chose her. I've been cheated in every relationship I've ever been in. He was supposed to be my forever. I don't know what to do. I've made therapy appointments, but I was also laid off last month, so I have too much free time to analyze every single moment where he might have been lying to me or where I made myself pathetic trying to cling to him. How do I start to get through this? TLDR, my husband had an affair and does not want to try to work out our marriage. I feel like I'm drowning and don't know how to start moving on. Updates. First of all, I just want to thank everyone here for the support I received following my first post back in August. At the time, it truly felt like my world was ending. It was important to me to make this update because I need to tell anyone who's currently going through the same thing. It gets better. You will get so much better. I had one conversation with my husband since everything happened, by his choice. It lasted maybe 5 minutes and was like talking to a robot. I know from others that he cries to people about how he ruined his life, but I have never once gotten an apology or the same show of regret. At this point, I don't care. I know him and the other woman are still seeing each other, and frankly, they deserve each other. Good for them. While I still feel angry occasionally, I no longer mourn what I once had. Instead, I'm so excited for the life I now get to live. I moved to a small walkable city and gave myself my dream apartment. It makes me so happy to see how I've decorated it and to just live in a cozy place instead of our old dreary house. I was the breadwinner in our marriage, and he would make me feel awful about wanting to pay for nice meals or do fun things. Since moving here, I've done a ton of foodie fun stuff and don't feel guilty. It's so refreshing. I have dipped my toe into the dating pool again and had plenty of mediocre dates from dating apps. Recently, I found someone who I've really clicked with and am enjoying how appreciated and desired he's made me feel. It's definitely early and we're moving slow, but overall, dating has made me realize that I'm a catch who doesn't have to settle. Therapy has done wonders and I'm so happy I immediately dove into it. My therapist is proud of me. I'm proud of me. I've stopped looking at being divorced as a failure. He failed, not me. I'm genuinely happy and excited to wake up each morning and no longer feel like this terrible weight is sitting on my chest. The holidays were surprisingly easy and I found myself so happy to spend time with my family without having to compromise anything. So all in all, life is good and there's so much of it ahead. Looking back, I can't believe I wasted so much time thinking about how I could get him to come home. I've made my own home and my own happiness, and that is worth so much more. TLDR, husband left me for another woman. He sucks, but things get better. Story 2, suspect wife, 40 years old, of cheating tonight, help me. 42 years old, stay sane. My wife has been traveling more for work the last 2 years, and frankly, our relationship has been up and down. She's working on the East Coast this week, and we live on the West Coast. We share an Apple family account, and as a result, she shares her location. She is supposed to come home tomorrow, but had to do dinner with her work colleague this evening. I was texting her at midnight ET 9 PT about kids' pets issues, and I checked her location. She is supposed to come home tomorrow, but had to do dinner with her work colleague this evening. I was texting her at midnight ET 9 PT about kids' pets issues, and I checked her location. She frequently complains about being tired, so I am little surprised to see she is not in her hotel. I figure the dinner ran late. About an hour later, 1:30 a.m. E10, 30 PT, I again check her location and she's in a residential neighborhood. I check on Google Maps, and there's not a hotel around, just houses. I called her several times, figuring maybe the do not disturb function was enabled, trying to reach her, and she does not pick up. So here I am, seeing her location at some house in the city that she often travels to. She was texting me not long ago. I am not sure what to do now. Do I wake up early and see where the phone is? Just ask when she gets home why her phone was in a strange place. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I am obviously uneasy about all this. What's my plan of action? TL.er. Wife traveling for work across country. Checked her location via Apple. She's in a residential neighborhood nowhere near a hotel. It's 2 a.m. where she is. What should I do? Edit. She returned to her hotel. I noticed at about 2:30 a.m. PT 5:30 a.m. ET. She texted me at 2:12 a.m. PT that she was sleeping when I was trying to call. Sinking feeling getting worse. Edit 2. Here's the plan. I offered to pick her up from airport. On the way home I will try to subtly ask about the evening, boss's home, or anyone else she was with, and get her to state what exactly she did after she left the restaurant. By the time we get home, if she doesn't explain the trip to, and time spent at, the residential area, I am going to have to show the location screen grabs, then demand full, open access to phones and computers for inspection of text messages and such. I will demand the devices be put on the table and won't allow her to make any calls before I inspect them. Honestly, I hate being like this. I want to fucking vomit. We have 2 precious little kids, and I don't want them to experience the suck. Update. Suspect wife, 40 years old, of cheating tonight. Help me, 42 years old, stay sane. She arrived home. Apple location was accurate. She fucked some semi-rando. Not her boss. No protection. One mistake. I followed the plan. She confessed. Even said some BS about having a UTI, presumable to avoid sex until she got an STI test. No fucking clue what's next for the marriage. 23 years of marriage, 2 kids, just lost right now. She's crying in the other room. I am steaming pounding the keyboard. Thanks for all the help or our relationships, I do appreciate it. TL.er, she fucked a guy. Edit to clarify. We've been together 23 years, married for 18. To answer some questions, I have a reasonable belief if wasn't her boss. She told me the guy's name, and it matches with the housing information I pulled when I was looking the prior night. I have to choose one of 2 paths. Both are awful outcomes. This just sucks. Story 3. My 28 years old girlfriend, 26 years old, cheated on me and gaslighted me into thinking it's all my fault. My ex-girlfriend has a history of lying. She explains that because of her trauma, she was raped and abused by her ex. She developed this habit. Her first boyfriend, Diego, raped her throughout high school. When she found new boyfriends in college, she cheated on them with Diego whenever she returned home, as the feeling of obeying him was familiar. She has never told her exes that she cheated on them. We first began fighting a little over 2 years ago, several months into us first dating. A drug dealer her ex owed money to sent her a highly suspicious message, and I explained to her that if she wished to meet up with him, to please do so with me, and, if she refused or felt uncomfortable with this, to at least meet in public, at her university, and to not meet him at her apartment. She agreed with me, but proceeded to meet him at her apartment anyway. This led to that guy raping her. This moment is often brought up as she claims that I blame her for being raped, but rape is never the victim the fault. She has yelled at me multiple times, saying how naive I am and how bad of a person I am, as well as telling the few close friends and family members who knew of this situation that I blamed her, leading them to side with her. This is one of the few rape cases where there are others besides me aware of this. She has not told others, especially her family, about Diego and her other rapes. She has also blocked and unblocked Diego a few times in our relationship, as well as one of her rapist stalkers who threatened to shoot both myself and her family. As such, during the course of our relationship I requested and she allowed me to check her phone to see that she did not fall back into the habit of returning back to these men or leak information to them that could endanger herself and others. Now that we are broken up, she cites this as a point to say that I am controlling and abusive. She currently tells her family and friends that I am controlling and abusive, with no context. When asked, she would say that I do not allow her to hang out with her friends without my permission, which is meaningfully different from what happened, given the nuances. At the end of April 2024, she finally agreed to report to the police the death threat guy, as he had been stalking me and waiting outside my workplace with a gun. My ex had not allowed me to report the death threats I received, as she did not want to explain the context and give her statement to the police. But by April 2024, it was clear that if we do not report this to the police, someone would die. And that guy may come after her family afterwards. The emotional toil from reporting to the police appears to be her trigger as she began cheating on me a few days afterwards. She had sex with approximately 30 people from May 2024, September 2024. She did not tell me this, I found out on my own. When I told her I knew, she denied this. It took a day of repeating hard evidence until she finally agreed, only to change her story back and forth in the upcoming days. She is currently telling me that she only cheated on me with only one person. There are 2 guys that she is heavily romantically involved with, and may believe that they have something more serious with her. However, she is still hooking up with other people. During the time that she admitted to cheating with 30 people, she said that she felt no guilt towards me for cheating. In her words, this is because she was disconnected from me emotionally, and thus it's not her fault. She also told me that the breakup was fully my fault and I had a lot of growing up to do. She specially mentioned that I did not help her enough with cooking or cleaning and that I was too controlling and manipulative, by forbidding her from going to her ex or rapists. The guys she is currently dating are also much older and successful men, lawyers, doctors, engineers in their 40s, and it appears that she may also be justifying this by telling herself that she is meeting guys of higher caliber, of her standards, using high-value men seeking logic. I'm curious to hear, what are thoughts of everyone here on what I should do? Should I do nothing? Should I try to get her to admit to what happened, and if so, how? Should I tell her parents, her friends, or the 2 guys she's seriously dating? What should I say? Should I warn those 2 guys of the risks and that they might get death threats or have false charges filed against them by my ex's abusers? Note that whatever I say, she will just deny and try to use this against me. As a result, I have no one to tell this to and must live with the feeling of constant despair and haunting words from her that this is all my fault. Story 3. My GF led me to believe I got her pregnant, but I found it wasn't mine after the birth. I've been on Reddit a while and began lurking this sub when I first suspected my GF was cheating. I had hoped I wouldn't be here posting, but here we are. I, 28 years old, have been with my GF, 25 years old, for just about 2 years. The relationship was good and then she tells me she's pregnant. For the most part, I'm careful and she said she was on birth control. I was skeptical but went to an appointment. I then figured it was just one of those things. I always wanted a family, so even though this was not how I wanted to begin, I was overjoyed. We're past the first trimester and I have her move in at her insistence. Insert red flag I missed. We're planning what we will do work-wise and how to set up the baby's room. She is pretty insistent she will go back to work but be able to stay home. She swears she can make it work. I go to every appointment with her. Things are still good. We're in the 3rd trimester and I make my schedule work to still go to every appointment. Up until this point I had been at each appointment in its entirety. This one appointment she's asks me to wait so she can talk to the doctor first. I'm super concerned that something is wrong with the baby and she didn't want me to hear. I go in and the checkup is done. Everything looks good. My GF brushes off my concern over why I couldn't be there for all of it. Another red flag. We're about a month and a half from the due date and I notice her being kind of secretive with phone calls and texts. She tells me it's work and it's confidential, etc. My antenna is now up so I try to get looks at her phone. She's got Snapchat and Kik. I find it strange but don't confront her. The baby is born and I'm overwhelmed with emotion. The child is perfect and things went fine. Then comes the part where they want me to go on the birth certificate. My GF becomes really insistent about it. She's constantly asking me to do it and seems way more anxious I've ever seen her. Here's the red flag I didn't miss. I don't do it. We have an argument but she stops pushing. I think it's because she knows how suspect it looks already. We're home and she has to go tend to the baby after it woke up. I noticed she set her phone down to go to the baby. I couldn't help it and looked. It was still unlocked. I start looking for texts or calls. I then find a whole conversation on Kik with a guy. All the updates of her appointments. Pictures of her and the baby. Then I see it. The place she says she thinks it's his child. I confront her and she apologizes. She admits the baby could be mine or someone else but she thinks it's mine. I demand a paternity test and leave. It's been about a week since the confrontation. The results came in yesterday and the baby isn't mine. She's gone to live with her mother. Here's the best part. It took me a lot of digging seeing as all I had were usernames she talked to him to. The father is her boss. The secrecy was for him. The boss with a wife and 4 kids in middle and high school. I found the wife on Facebook and sent her all I had including text from my GF saying it's his. I'm heartbroken so many ways. I'm lucky in a lot of ways here but I'm so hurt. This has completely changed my whole outlook. I'm bitter, angry, and untrusting. I have no idea how to recover from this. I've still not spoken to her. I can't bring myself to. I'm conflicted because I still bonded with that baby. Yet I am not the father. That is painful. She still tries to contact me. I don't know if it's love. I won't talk to her. On to the guy who is the father. I told his wife. She didn't respond immediately. I found out through my ex that he lost his job. There's some justice in the world. He won't have anything to do with my ex. He blames her for the mess he's currently in. His wife contacted me over a week later. She apologized for what I went through. She was still in shock, I guess. She kicked him out. I have no idea where he went. Their kids know. Everyone knows. My ex still works there but is in the process to find a new job, seeing as literally everyone knows what happened now. I'm still in shock some and still heartbroken. This holiday will be tough and sad for me. I know there's hope. I know it will get better. This shook me to my core and I don't know how long it'll take. I'm ready to swear off any relationship ever again. Story 4. Wife cheated after 13 years together. Hi everyone, TLDR, partner of 13 years, 3 years married, has had an affair for the last year and is still talking to the man she cheated with, despite me telling her that if we are to continue I need that relationship to end. A little background. My wife, 28 years old, and I, 28 years old, have been together for 13 years. We started dating when we were roughly 16, never broke up, and got married 3 years ago. We had the kind of relationship that others were jealous of, and everyone always expected us to get married when we were younger. Over the past 1.5 to 2 years things started changing between us. Some issues came up with her family and she started to become more and more distant, both emotionally and physically, starting being super protective of her phone, and grew closer and closer with a male coworker. Long story short, I snooped, yes, I know this is bad, on her phone because I had a feeling something was going on based off a variety of factors and found incriminating texts confirming that she was having an affair with this guy. When I confronted her early September, she owned up to it, saying that it had been going on for a year. They had been having the affair in our home, sleeping together in the bedroom that would eventually be the room where our future children slept. She apologized, saying it would never happen again, and I told her that in order for us to move on I need her to have no contact with the person she cheated on me with. 2 months later and they are still talking occasionally, with her saying it is unfair of me to ask her to not talk to someone she considers a close friend. I honestly don't know what to do at this point. I am trying to see if I can move on, but I feel like I can never trust her again. I feel like her choosing to be in touch with him still shows that she is choosing their relationship over ours. I am just totally torn on what my gut is telling me. She also told me not to tell any of our friends what is going on, so I don't even have someone to talk to. Sorry, this was a bit of a rant, but it's the first time I have written it all out, and I really do not know how to proceed or how to cope with this. Edit was not expecting this large of a reaction. Outside a few of you that seem to think nasty replies are appropriate when someone has their entire life crumble around them, this was helpful. I know what I need to do, I just need to rip off the band-aid and do it. I am going to call the lawyer I spoke to a few weeks ago tomorrow and see how he says I should approach the situation. Update. Wife cheated after 13 years together. Hey everyone, I figured it was time to update since all of your advice was so helpful. After posting here a little over a month ago and reading all of your advice, I called my lawyer, told my parents and some close friends what was going on, and told my wife that I wanted a divorce. She begged and pleaded, promising to make things better and cut off contact with the AP. We spent all weekend together with her, promising things and saying and doing all the right things. I did not fully believe her, but I was willing to give her one more chance to try and save what I thought we had. Things were fine, we were more or less just coexisting for about a month, but she was on her phone a lot less and being more attentive to me. Well, 2 weekends ago she handed me her phone to show me something and I suspiciously swiped up on her open apps and there she was, talking to her AP on Instagram. I flipped out and she promised he just messaged her and she told him that she could not talk. This was blatantly false as I read their conversation and they were discussing what they were each doing that night. I was again duped, lied to and deceived. She told me she would finally block him but wanted to say goodbye since he was a friend. I said it was inexcusable and that she had to cut off contact and block him right then, which she said she would. 2 days later I asked if she had blocked him and she had not yet. End of the long story. I told her right on the spot that we are getting a divorce and we can either go through mediation if she agrees to every single thing that I want, or I can get my lawyer involved and I will get what I want anyway. She agreed to mediation and we are beginning that process shortly. It took me some time to get there, longer than it probably should have. But I finally have enough respect for myself to put an end to this and go find the life of happiness that I deserve. She still tries to make me feel bad about all of this, blaming me to a degree and telling me how awful of a situation I'm putting her in, but I remind her that it was her actions that caused this, not mine, and that she has to live with the consequences of her actions. I have also begun telling more friends about what happened along with the rest of my family. This is not how I ever saw my life going, but I know that this is a blessing in disguise and I will end up with someone who truly makes me happy. Story 5, Mai, 30 years old. GF, 28 years old, of almost 10 years has been cheating with a 50 years old, former co-worker for months. Original post, September of this year would have made 10 years with GF. We have been together since college. We are the only people we have each been with for more than a few months. The only people we had each slept with. We have grown into adults together. Experienced all life has to offer, both good and bad. Last March, right before Corona hit, we sold our house and moved from a small town in a rural state to the suburbs of a much more populated state outside a major city for a promotion I got. She was hesitant to go, but we wanted to have new life experiences and see what living in a more populated area had to offer, so we went for it. When COVID hit, she couldn't find a job for months. She finally did, but was not happy with it. Her mental health declined, as I was working 6 and 7 days a week as a manager for an essential business during the pandemic. At the start of November, she said she had a mental breakdown at work and couldn't go back for a while. She then left for 8 nights unannounced and did not communicate much at all. Said she was staying with her one good work friend, but there were other people with them doing drugs. They were working on getting another friend into rehab. I was shocked and worried because this was not like her at all. She comes back for a week. Tries going back to work and can't even make it a full day. Quits. At this point she's apologizing. Saying she needs to focus on her mental health. She has to get through this on her own. Needs some time and space. Ends up getting her own place without telling me. Moves out most of her stuff. The whole time I'm trying to support her, be there for her, give her space, whatever she needs. She keeps apologizing. I knew something was going on. A month later, one of her former co-workers FB messages me a picture of her and this guy taking a selfie. Says she's sorry, but I needed to know. Says they have been seeing each other since September. The guy is married with kids and his wife had cancer not long ago. Says he's also a recovering addict who relapsed at the start of the year. She finally calls and confesses the next day after I messaged her about it. Says they're in love. Her AF28 is in love with a M50 recovering, maybe, married drug addict. He treats her right and takes care of her in ways I don't. He is almost certainly manipulating her. I think this all stems from the passing of her father in 2018 from his own cancer battle. She has never grieved and processed any of that trauma. She also has childhood trauma from her mother being a drug addict. Daddy issues, lots of trauma. Depression means she is an easy target for abuse and manipulation. We're obviously done for good, but I wanted to share my story because I feel that it is an unusual one and I am feeling alone in a place without friends or family to talk to right now. Update. Well, I just want to start by thanking everyone again for the replies and advice on my original post. I also want to let everyone know that you were pretty much all correct in the assumptions and how this would play out. After finding out the day after Christmas, I spent the next week going back and forth with my ex about different things, splitting phone plans, bank accounts, her taking the rest of her stuff, etc. I've wanted this to end, so I finally agreed to drive to their place so her and I could make a few calls to square some things away and I could give her the rest of her stuff and take care of this mess once and for all. I get there and she comes to my car and stands there to make the first call we need to make. Goes through the phone menus to talk to someone and hangs up. I said, "What are you doing?" She says sorry, and calls again. Same thing, goes through phone menus, gets on hold this time and hangs up. I'm getting pissed at this point obviously, but she throws a folded up piece of paper quickly into my car before hanging up the second time and says, "Don't touch it, read it later, okay?" I say, "Yeah, but what about your stuff and the calls we need to make and everything?" She says, "Don't worry about it," and goes back inside. So I drive away and read the note immediately, and it's basically a few sentences saying her mother will be calling me but do not text or call her for any reason, and it is very important that I do not contact her. So her mother calls me shortly after. Says my ex that morning called her and said she realized she's fucked up. The guy is up and down on drugs and controlling her every move. Tracking her phone and doesn't want her to leave the house. Trying to take her money and get as much as he can from her. Ex wouldn't say anything about physical abuse, but I'm sure there has been some. Her mother says she is going to get the police involved to get her out of there. My ex told her mother to ask if we could have a talk about everything. That she knows she's made a huge mistake and she will go to therapy and do anything it takes for us to get back together. She has been trying to get away from the guy just to make this call for help to her mother for a while now, and Monday was the first chance she got, she said. So like the idiot I am, I agreed to meet her tonight in a parking lot at her friend's apartment complex. She told AP she was going there to be with her friend and he actually let her go. She was paranoid he would show up. He did not show up and we talked for an hour about how sorry she is, how she finally came out of the fog and realized how she's ruined her life and she's scared and stuck with this guy. Doesn't know what to do and has gone to the doctors and is getting therapy. Wants me to work on things with her while she goes to therapy so maybe we can get back the great life she now says she realizes we had. Scared to be alone while trying to fix herself without support. I stood firm on my boundaries with her, that this is all her fault, that she caused this, she's hurt me and I owe her nothing. It's still so hard because I want to believe her and we did have a good life for a long time. She seems sincere, of course, that she will get help and change, but I can't give in and trust her. It makes you feel like you're the bad one ending the relationship. I need to continue to respect myself and my boundaries and move on, but I also don't want her to be physically harmed. TLDR, long-term girlfriend been cheating for months and quickly came out of the fog after I found out and wants to reconcile. AP is controlling and abusive drug addict like everyone knew he would be, and she's scared and knows she's really messed up her life. Wants what she had back and I'm not giving it to her. Story 7, my wife of 7 years, mother of my children, only woman I've ever been with cheated on me. I feel like a loved one died. I hope this is okay. I'm basically cross-posting from ourself, with a few edits. Sorry this post may be kind of a mess. I found out early Saturday morning. We had decided to separate on Wednesday, which already hurt more than anything I'd ever gone through. But there was still a connection. We had sex a couple of times in the following days, cried a lot, and I thought that maybe after we started trying to hash our agreement out we would decide that no, this is too much, it's too real, let's commit to giving us another chance, let's make it work, for the kids, for ourselves. Well, I had an awful gut feeling, anyways. It's hard to explain exactly why I thought maybe there was someone else. It was just an instinct based on some of her behavior lately, and after she came home at nearly 4 a.m. from her bartending shift, and after we had sex again, I waited for her to fall asleep and did a not good thing and snooped through her phone. We've always known each other's passwords, we've always had open access to one another's phones. She didn't even try to hide it, really. It was all right there in her texts. A dad from the place our kids take gymnastics classes at, whose son loves to play monster trucks with our son. They started doing play dates for the kids, while I'm at work, and developed a connection. He has his own business and is already divorced, or never got married IDK, but he doesn't always have his kids, so some nights he'd go visit her while she was working at the bar. One night he stayed super late, I guess. They drank together, got drunk and did their thing. Thinking about her with someone else hurt so much. She is the only woman I've ever been with. She actually came on to me over the weekend and I felt so lonely that I caved to the impulse and we had sex, which I regret honestly, and I couldn't stop thinking about her being with him the entire time. I had to stop in the middle. That's when I told her I knew. Last night I was playing with my kids while she was at work, and my son was using a play phone and said, "Ring ring, hello, who is it? Oh, it's the guy. That fucking sucked." That was savage, little man, absolutely savage. I can tell they had a real emotional connection, and that made it so much worse. She went and found someone else instead of trying to reconnect with me. Someone who had time to be with her, while I was working or with our children. Our marriage has always been rocky, and her grievances she listed on Wednesday when we talked about separating, before I found out about the cheating, are legitimate. I even had my own grievances that had me thinking along the same lines as her, can I do this anymore? Should we just end it? But no, we said oaths and did the whole marriage thing, and I was committed to figuring us out. There were so many good times, so much history, so many amazing memories and stories. We just barely ever had an actual time to be together lately, and when we did, we didn't spend it with each other, which was stupid. But to me it felt like a phase. We are so hard on money right now, so she picked up a job bartending and was doing Uber deliveries and stuff at nights, after I worked my day job. So I wake up, go to work, she does the kid things all day, then I get home and she either leaves or is already gone. My sister is watching them if she's gone, and I do kid things and chores at night and often get them to bed long before she's home, and on nights she's bartending I go to sleep well before she gets back. On those days we only see each other for a couple of minutes in the morning. But it's just temporary, I thought. We were only doing this horrible schedule for long enough to get back on track, to figure something else out. We were just doing what we had to do to fix our money for the kids. It never felt like we weren't a couple. I never felt like she didn't love me. And I never meant to make her feel like I didn't love her. I just wish she had talked to me more. I wish she had told me how upset she really was so we could work on it. I don't feel like they were abnormal, uncommon things that tons of other married couples don't have to work through at some point. There is still love from both sides. She's been a complete mess. I've been a complete mess. She was drunk and regrets it so much, allegedly at least, but I can't look at her the same. I wish she had just come to me and told me how low she was feeling about our marriage. She wishes she could take it back, but we both know she can't. I hurt so much. I just feel empty. I feel like a close loved one died. I have never cried so much in my life. She is the only woman I have ever even had an adult relationship with, at 30 years old. I've never gone through a breakup before. I feel like a complete mess and want the pain to go away. Story 8. My 42 years old wife, 41 years old, sent sexy selfie to male coworker. Should I confront her? As the title suggests, my 42M wife, 41F, sent a sexy selfie and flirty messages to a co-worker friend while out one night during a bachelorette party with friends. Should I confront my wife about these messages, or should I just let them go? Is there any context where these messages are appropriate in a healthy marriage? How excusable is this? Background context. There's a lot of background info about this situation that makes it problematic. I'm gonna try to bullet point the major points below. I appreciate anyone willing to read it all and provide some feedback. The message exchange happened nearly a year ago. I only found out by snooping through her iMessages on her computer recently. You'll see below why I was snooping and why my trust level isn't where it should be. She deleted these messages and the selfie image from her phone iMessages, knowing that she didn't want me to see them. But they remained in her iMessages on her computer. The picture is a selfie of her taken in an unusually sexy outfit, for her, she was wearing that night. She was out at a bachelorette party and took a bathroom mirror picture of herself and sent it to him late at night while at a club. Like 10 p.m. She was not naked or anything like that. But it's a more revealing outfit than usual for her, and she was feeling sexy. Lots of cleavage and midriff, etc. She then used the monkey emoji that is covering the eyes while sending that picture. Right after that, she also sent a message to him describing the strip club she was at with her friends and how scandalous the male strippers were at the event. I had no problem with her being at the strip club. It was something we discussed ahead of time. Her message referenced the way the stripper grabbed her by the ponytail, etc., as an aggressive sexual move, and she liked it. These are not details she ever discussed with me. Again, I have no problem with her being at the strip club. My concern is only about what she is choosing to share with this guy and hide from me, and why about 1 year ago, we had a very serious marital argument about the nature of her friendship with this specific coworker guy who I have never met. This selfie and the flirty messages took place about 1 month after that argument began. So she had every reason to know that any messages with him were going to be problematic and scrutinized at the time. I think this is what upsets me the most. Why did she send those messages at that time knowing how unstable our marriage was in that moment? In the days and weeks prior to her sending these flirty messages, we had already agreed that she wouldn't hide any more interaction with him. 1 year ago, I found out she was hiding a friendship with this guy from me. Basically, they would go running together after work and message each other a lot during the day and outside of work hours, and she hid it all from me for months. Through it all, she insisted they were merely friends and she never did anything wrong besides hide it from me. She agrees that was wrong entirely. There was never any proof that their relationship became a physical affair, though I believe strongly that it crossed several boundaries we have both since agreed were inappropriate. An emotional affair of sorts that she denies, but by any objective standard is clear. I do not believe their relationship ever became physical, but I believe it was heading in that direction. In the last year since the selfie and flirty messages, she has had very little contact or communication with this guy, primarily out of respect for our marriage and her desire to repair trust. If she is still seeing this guy or communicating with him, she's doing it in a way that I have been unable to monitor or find. I don't think she is. In the last year, we've made very specific efforts to repair our marriage and put that inappropriate friendship in the past. I believe her efforts to repair our relationship and trust have been sincere, and that situation is mostly in the past. My dilemma, her sending this image and flirty messages to him a month after our serious arguments began, is really bothering me. She knew how upset I was about the situation and how unstable our marriage was at the time. However, I do believe that inappropriate relationship is now over, and our marriage has been much improved over the last 10 months. I also only found these messages while snooping in a way that I don't feel good about. Should I bring this up and rekindle an old argument that feels like it's in the past? Or should I just let it go as a drunken message she probably regrets and never wanted me to see? Final note, we have been happily married for over 10 years and have 2 lovely kids together. This last year was the first real marital crisis of sorts. If you read this far, thank you. I appreciate your feedback. TL Doctor, my wife sent inappropriate messages to a coworker friend and I don't know how to respond. Update. My 42 years old wife, 41 years old, sent sexy selfie to male coworker. Should I confront her? I recently confronted my wife about the selfie and flirty messages she sent to her coworker over a year ago. Thank you to everyone who provided meaningful replies with suggestions and insights. It was a productive and difficult conversation. She admitted to sending the messages that she previously deleted and lied to me about. She also admitted to some other more recent in-person interactions she had with this guy that she had hidden from me and lied about. She seems to be genuinely apologetic and remorseful and wants to restore trust, once again. I do believe this is the most she's ever been with me regarding the full nature of her relationship with this guy. That was necessary and helpful. She explains the selfie and flirty messages as a drunk mistake that she really regrets, and that's part of the reason why she promptly deleted them. Aside from the fact that she never wanted me to see them. Frankly, I agree with all that, and I'm able to forgive all of that. But I am truly hurt by all of the lies, deception, and gaslighting over the last several months, and I'm struggling with how to proceed. We had multiple arguments about her emotional affair with this guy over the last year, and even a year after the initial arguments, it became clear she was still secretly interacting with him and hiding it from me. I don't know the extent of those interactions, but I do believe her when she tells me they have never slept together and never had any physical interactions. I genuinely believe that to be true, and I don't have any evidence pointing otherwise. She hasn't seen him or really talked to him since May. So I know anyway. She revealed that she basically had a crush on the guy, but has since moved past it and is really sorry that she ever did any of the things she did to entertain that fantasy. I know that she wants to fight for marriage and make things better, but I'm also struggling because we've had the same type of argument multiple times before. The thing I'm really struggling with is the fact that there have been multiple times when I've called her out for hiding things from me about her interactions with him. And in those moments she would come only partially clean about those interactions, only for me to point out additional lies and hiding later. When I ask her why she continues to do the lying and hiding even though we said that was the most important thing to stop doing, she said she was afraid I would leave her if I knew what she was doing. When I told her why is that not enough for her to stop doing the things in the first place, her response was, I knew that what I was doing was not actually wrong. I.e., getting lunch with this guy. I was never going to cross any cheating type boundaries with him. The thing is, the number one thing she was promising to do to restore trust in our marriage was avoid all unnecessary interactions with this guy. Turns out she didn't do that. So I'm stuck with trying to figure out what my next move is. I feel deeply disrespected, betrayed, and my trust is fundamentally broken with her right now. I've told her all of this. It's happened too many times over the last year. And while she may not have actually had sex with this guy and cheated on me with him, I don't have any reason to believe she would ever tell me if she did. She would take it to her grave. But I do earnestly believe her when she says she didn't. For now at least. There is a lot of room for me to be forgiving in all of this. I'm capable of it. But I just don't know how long I can live with the lies, deception, and broken trust. It's stressful and affecting my mental health. It's also affecting my ability to be effective at my job and effective as a father. Right now it's all too raw, so I don't know what my next move is going to be. Most likely we are going to work it out together. Things had been improving over the last 2 months, so there's room to believe we can get there again if we try. It's just really exhausting to keep starting over with trust like this so often. How do I make clear to my wife that the lies and deception can't continue? I hate threatening divorce, but I don't know any other way to make it clear to her how harmful it is. What other solutions or remedies do you have for a situation like this? Story 9. I, 28 years old, think my girlfriend, 26 years old, of 4 years is going to leave me for her dying ex-boyfriend and first love. I saw their messages last week and I haven't been the same since. I borrowed her old iPad for work purposes and her Facebook account was still logged in the device. I was going to log in on my messenger because I forgot my phone at home and I was going to message her, but then I saw that she had messages from her ex-boyfriend. Let's call him Andre. Her and Andre dated for 2 years. They were each other's first love and she never told me what happened between them. I met her a year and some months after they broke up when I went on a trip with my family to California. I didn't know anything about him other than the fact that they dated sometime in high school and college. When I met her, we instantly hit it off. She showed me around LA and me living in Australia wasn't a problem. We were in a long-distance relationship for a year until I saved up enough money to move out of my country for her. Other than that, it took me months to look for a job in Los Angeles so that I would be financially secure when I got there. 3 years later, we're still going strong. Or so I thought. When I clicked on their conversation out of curiosity, I immediately noticed the kiss and heart emojis. Right then I knew what was happening. I don't want to go on about the details, but the only message that stood out was her talking about leaving me for a few months so that she could take care of him. He has cancer, it's at stage 1, but he reckons he's going to die. On one of his messages to her, he asked if she would visit him in his house. And I'm pretty sure she did because they mentioned how they had a great time together and that it was good to catch up. Well, it's been a week since I found out. She doesn't know that I know, or that I took her old iPad out of its box and that I had spent 2 days reading their messages. She has no idea at all. She thinks everything is okay between us, but I actually want to cry for a long time and that I want to physically hurt myself. I have no friends in LA, all of them are back home and they're all living their own lives now. I don't want to talk about it to anyone because thinking too deeply about it hurts. I guess when it all comes down to it, she never really loved me and I'm still trying to accept that. I don't know how to approach this. I have written my resignation letter for work and I have messaged my parents that I was going to go home sometime next month. I did both when I was extremely upset. I just need advice on how to approach this. I don't want to talk to her about it at all. I can't even look her in the eye without wanting to break down. Please help me on what to do and how to approach it correctly. As of now, I'm thinking of leaving while she's at work. Update. 28 years old. Think my girlfriend, 26 years old, of 4 years is going to leave me for her dying ex-boyfriend and first love. I finally talked to my girlfriend about it and unfortunately, she is now my ex-girlfriend. A lot of things that I never expected to happen did happen in a span of hours. As soon as she opened the door to our apartment, I could tell that she was already starting to cry. Seeing her so vulnerable like that also hurt because I didn't want to put her in that position. I had to constantly remind myself that none of this was my fault. We sat down, there were lots of tears. I thought I would be bitter, angry and that I would be screaming at her the whole time, but I felt disappointed instead. I told her that I saw the messages and explained how I ended up scrolling through their whole conversation. She kept reasoning that she just felt sorry for him and that she didn't know how to say no to him because they go all the way back. Then I told her that we go more way back than they ever did. I was there through her lowest point, I helped her get up. She admitted that they had sex more than 3 times. I saw it coming. I had a gut feeling, but hearing her confirm it hurt so much. At that point, I was full on crying. I can't remember some of the things that happened because my mind was all over the place. It still is now. I remember telling her that I was done, that whatever we had was over. She kneeled in front of me and asked me to forgive her. I don't think I ever will. I can't tolerate people who cheat. By that point, a third of my clothes were packed up. Obviously she feels happier with him if she can do this to me. When I posted my first post, a Redditor approached me and offered me a place to stay. His place was only around 15 minutes away from ours and he picked me up. He'll also help me sell a lot of my stuff that I can't bring back home and will help me gather all my things back in my apartment. We both agreed that I don't mention him in this post. I'm glad that I really opened up to this community instead of keeping it to myself. Thank you to everyone who also offered me a place. It's almost 3 a.m., I'm heartbroken as ever, but I'm trying my best. I'm sending my resignation letter to work this morning. Every person in my family now knows my situation here and have offered support. I'll be flying home as soon as possible. To all my Aussie mates, if you live near around Chapel Hill, let me know. America, you were great, but now it's time to come home. Thanks for the help, everyone. Edit. I'm crying again, not because I got cheated on, but because I realize that there is a whole world out there that cares a lot for my well-being. I almost can't believe I looked at hurting myself as an option to get away from the pain. I am really overwhelmed and also thankful for this community. Anthony and his wife, the Redditor who helped me, says this has been the most wholesome thing that ever happened to him. I may have lost a girlfriend and a future wife, but I gained heaps of friends. And even friends for a lifetime. Other than that, I'm feeling better. It still feels surreal that she's gone, but what can a bloke do? She made her choice, so I made mine. I woke up to multiple messages from her family saying that I shouldn't rush things and that she's stupid and makes mistakes like everyone else. It sucks that I may not be able to see her family for a long time. They were great people. I thanked them and said that although I believe in second chances and everyone makes mistakes, cheating is a choice that assholes pick, never a mistake. X also emailed me around 5 in the morning. The email was too long, my eyes hurt from crying, so I junked it straight away. I miss her like crazy. I know it will take a lot of time to heal me, but I guess I can wait. P.S. I'll message my newfound Aussie friends when I go through all the comments. Exact date of my flight hasn't been sorted out yet, but I'm hoping I'll be home by next month. Story 10. I, 28 years old, with fiancé, 27 years old, about a month ago overheard her tell a friend her previous ex was the best lover she ever had. It was quite by accident that I heard this. We had a group of our friends over, and as the night went on we all kind of busted out into little groups. Some of us were in one room playing Texas Hold'em and a couple of others were watching a Lord of the Ring marathon. I thought she was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee and talking. Our group had run out of soda, so I got up to go to the kitchen to get drinks and a couple of snacks. As I'm rounding the corner I hear my fiancé talking, and before I completely come in the room I hear her clearly say, "Jason is great, but he will never be the lover that Bill was." She then followed it up with, "It's not really fair to Jason though, Bill was just really gifted down there." At first I thought about just walking back into the card game and pretending like we didn't have any extra soda or food, but I decided to kind of make a noise and go in. Her friend caught eye of me rounding the corner and I could see her make a face to my fiancé letting her know I was there. Of course she has no idea I heard her, and she just stops talking to her and asks me how I'm doing and if I'm having fun. I was tempted to say something like, "I'm having as much fun as someone who is not gifted down there can," but I didn't. I just said yes and proceeded to get my stuff and go back and finish the night. I just acted like nothing was wrong the rest of the night and went to bed. Needless to say, it fucked me up. I mean, fucked me up bad. I've never been jealous or what you would call insecure about myself until that moment. I couldn't sleep that night and I went through a myriad of emotions while laying there. At first I was angry, then I was humiliated, then I was depressed, then I was angry again. Look, I realize that the male ego seems stupid to women and even guys who are totally self-assured. I would have agreed with most of this prior to that night, but once it has been damaged it is a bitch. I tried to hide any form of emotion about it or ever let her know, but as the days went on I just kept getting worse and worse. I was avoiding her at all costs, and while she was suspicious she didn't really say anything. That is until she attempted to be intimate with me a few days later and I flat out rejected her. It wasn't by a conscious decision on my part, by the way. I had made the decision on my own to just try and get over it and move on. But in the moment, instead of being sexually aroused, I felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening no matter how much either of us tried. She asked me what was wrong and I just told her I must have been stressed from work, but she would not believe that or let it go. So much to my humiliation, there I laid, naked in bed, unable to get an erection. I came clean and told her what I heard. Well, this did not go over well at all. At first she tried to tell me I did not hear her correctly. But I just repeated to her verbatim what she had told her friend. Well, once she couldn't deny it, she then tried to apologize, and to her credit she tried to listen to my feelings on the matter. Which once again I am sure was more of a big turn-off for her because I was a wreck emotionally. She tried to tell me how much of a better person I was and how I satisfied her and she wanted nobody else. But all I could hear was Charlie Brown's teacher noise. It's been almost a month and I have zero desire to be with her sexually. None. She is now getting frustrated about this as well, but no matter what I have tried I just cannot get past this. It's not like she said we were both good lovers or anything like that. She clearly said he was far superior, and my guess is that being gifted down there means he was significantly larger than me as well. Well, I know I can do all kinds of things with my hands, tongue and whatever else. But no matter what I do I can't grow in size. Obviously she refuses to talk about that with me, saying that no matter what she says it will only make things worse, because even if she says something positive about me I won't believe her. She's most likely right. Some backstory here. He dumped her. It was not a mutual breakup, he flat out dumped her and broke her heart. I know this because early on in our relationship she told me this. She said she wasn't ready to be serious about anybody because her previous ex left her and emotionally broke her. So this is not a case of me even being able to say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't dumped her she would never have left him. Now I have no idea if after all of these years she would leave me for him if he would come back, but I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do here. I can feel myself checking out of the relationship. I know this is petty as shit, but hearing the person you love tell someone else they prefer to have sex with someone else is just devastating to me. Her telling me all of my other good qualities has only made it worse because she is saying things that I think appeal to her and maybe other women, but being told I'm a good provider and will make a great husband makes me feel like shit. Like, what would happen if I lost my good paying job, or better yet, what if I were to get injured and couldn't make anything more than state assistance? Would she be there to support and help me? Basically what I feel like right now is a really good friend who she just allowed to have sex with. I know in my head that this is not correct, but in my heart that is what I feel. I'm sorry for the length here, and I don't even know what I'm asking here. I am totally lost, and if this continues I just think I am going to break our engagement. TL.dr. Heard fiancé tell her friend that previous ex was superior in the sack, presumable due to size among other things. Relationship has gone to hell since and I need advice. Edit. Holy God. I made this post last night and answered a couple of questions and then went to bed and got up today and went Christmas shopping hoping to make me forget my troubles and didn't even log in until just now. I have not even started to read the, at this point, 7.7 thousand comments on this post. I don't know what anyone has said yet, but thank you all for commenting either way. I am now going to begin the massive undertaking of looking at the comments. Also thank you for the gold and silver kind internet strangers. Edit 2, Dear God. I read all the way down to the bottom of the page thinking I had gotten through most of everything, and then at the bottom it said load the 5.5k more posts. I'm stopping for the night, well, morning actually. I was going to respond to people individually, but there is just no way. I haven't even started reading the direct messages to me yet, nor have I opened any of the 20 chat screens. There are issues I want out there because there are a couple of things that are being said that are not accurate. She was to use the Barney Gumble phrase using sweet drunk talk. In other words, her and her friend were drunk while talking. Nope, neither of us drink. We don't even have it in the house. That I'm upset, she told her friend. Well, this is an odd thing. Before I posted this, honestly, I wasn't that upset about this part. I was then and am still far more upset that this is how she feels. However, now reading a lot of the post, I have become somewhat aggravated that she did share this with her friend. I would never say anything about her to anyone that would put her in a lesser light. That I am an insecure man-child who should just man up and learn to do better. Well, I'm certain the first part is true, being insecure and all. But the last part is just out of my control. No matter what I do, I will only ever be 7 inches long. We have talked about this BTW, when she was trying to build me up. She said that I was already great with everything but the one thing I can't control. Okay, so I gave myself about a ½ inch to feel better. No, I'm not going to do anything rash. It's already been a month, so it's not like this happened last week. But yes, I have to decide what I'm going to do here before long. It's not fair to either of us as I'm just coasting through this and no longer committed. She is sorry that I heard it. She said she is sorry she said it, but at the end of the day she would not be sorry if I didn't catch her saying it. It is what it is. But yes, I do believe she is regretting it because she has basically been a mess since I first told her. Me not wanting to be with her is bothering her a lot according to her. I don't know how much of that I believe, but right now I guess I don't know why she would lie. It really has wrecked hell on our Christmas spirit this year, I know that. Edit 3, Engineer for those who keep asking what I do for a living. She is a paralegal. Edit 4, People have been asking about the relationship with the ex and how I know she was heartbroken. We met about 9 months after they separated. I know that ultimately he wanted to be with someone else, although she has claimed he never cheated. He just ended things so he could be with another woman. She approached me at a local workshop and we started dating. On our 4th date, when things started to get physical, she broke down crying about the ex. It was certainly weird to hold someone while they cried about someone else, but I did it. We sporadically dated for a couple more months, in which time I never tried to cross any boundaries physically because it was obvious she wasn't over him. So while we just went out of dates, I tried to keep myself of the mind that we were just friends because I didn't want to commit either. After close to 2 months, she drags me from my car to her apartment and begins to tell me how much she has appreciated my patience with her and how she felt stupid about dragging me along for so long. Obviously, that was our first night together. Within 3 months of that, she is telling me that she loves me. So yes, she was still hung up on her ex for fact when we got together. I had hoped she was over him before this happened. Update. I, 28 years old, with fiancé, 27 years old, about a month ago overheard her tell a friend her previous ex was the best lover she ever had. It all came to a head last night. She just came out and asked me if I did not love her anymore, and all that I could tell her was that a very large part of me still did, but that what she said had really made it so that another part of me just didn't anymore. This started a larger conversation that I won't bore you with, but ultimately it came down to me saying that I would have heard that he was just better at something or more attentive to something or was able to do something that I would have felt like I could have worked on it. I would have listened to anything she wanted, worked on any technique or anything else that she would have shared with me. But to know that I was never going to measure up simply because of a physical issue was not something I thought I could get over anytime soon, or if I ever could for that matter. I was even honest and said that if it was just a ONS she had or some random guy who was just huge, I might be able to get past that. But knowing that it was a guy who she was still madly in love with when I met her, and only after time did she ever start to come around, then it was just more than I could handle. She kept trying to tell me how much better I was at everything else and that I should not throw away a lifetime over one aspect. I told her that one aspect sadly was just too high for me. Not all things are equal and that honestly it is a mental failing on my part that it is, but whether it is genetics or a learned trait or whatever, that yes, I needed to be my spouse's best and she has already made it clear that I can never be. I tried my best to be gentle. I tried to take all of the blame of stating that I knew that my attitude was probably not healthy, but it was who I am. BTW. I'm typing this as though this were a clean conversation. It wasn't. There was lots of crying, by both of us. This is not a happy ending or even a satisfying one. I am beyond fucked up in the head over the entire situation. Everybody's Christmas is ruined. We had big family gatherings that we both were attending together and now we have to somehow break it to our families what has happened. This alone is causing me massive stress because my parents loved her and what in the hell am I going to say is the reason why we are not together. She didn't cheat, and if I say that I felt like she was still hung up on her ex, she will obviously deny it and she will tell them the truth. It's fucked up no matter how this goes down. In the end I feel like a massive failure. I feel like a failure as a man because of not living up to comparison, and I feel like a failure because I wasn't able to just man up and either get over it. She has begged me to go to couples counseling and initially I said no because at the end of the day what does it change? We can talk about every single thing and I can try and look at things from a different way, and at the end of the day the woman who I wanted to marry just told one of our friends that no matter what I do I will never be as good as her ex. I just cannot see 5 years from now ever being okay with this. But because she legitimately seems heartbroken I agreed to go. But that does not mean I will keep going. Today I moved out a lot of my stuff and am staying with a coworker for a few days until I can get a place for myself. She has been with her sister all day. I feel like shit. Thank you to everyone who took the time to type out a response. I honestly have tried to read everything even if I didn't reply to very many. The bitch of all of this is that I still love her. There is so much of me right now that wants to pick up the phone and call her and beg her to come back. Edit. Well, once again I posted this and then went away for a while. I went with my friend to see Mortal Engines and to dinner and then we've been talking for a long while, so I started reading a while ago. It is going to take me forever to read, and once again I don't think responding individually will ever happen because of the large number of posts and private messages. But thank all of you for reading and responding. Edit 2. I guess I do want to share one thing I spoke with her about. When we were having our very long conversation I presented her with a scenario for her to compare. I know her well enough to know that comparing body parts or sexual prowess isn't going to impact her the same way it would me. So I put the scenario to her like this. I said, what if you walked in and overheard me talking with my friend Tim and you heard this? Jill is great but she will never understand me and comfort me the way Tiffany did. But it's not Jill's fault. Tiffany is just the smartest, most compassionate person I've ever known and Jill just isn't as smart. Then if she would confront me about saying those things about her, that my response to her would have been, I love you for all of your other qualities. Nobody makes a sandwich like you do and I think long term you won't gauge me for my money. At first she tried to say that this was a totally different issue, but once we talked more about it she finally agreed it is because of the way we both approach and value sex. She ultimately admitted that this would really hurt her feelings but she would not break up with me over it. I then responded that even in my make-believe scenario, which BTW I would never say to anyone out loud about anyone I loved, she could improve her level of education and learn to be more compassionate. Edit 3. If anyone even reads this I want to add one last thing. People have been telling me what a whiny bitch I am. That's one of the more kind things they've said, because I can't get over someone else in the world having a bigger dick than me. Not going to lie and say I'm thrilled with it, but I'm not dumb enough to think I have a giant magic wand or anything. I had grown up believing what I now know to be a lie, that women don't care about size. Some don't, but obviously some do, and my ex is one of those that obviously did. But even with that, ultimately I might have been able to get over it if it was just said as a matter of fact, but hearing that no matter what I did, how much I loved her or any other thing, that I was never going to be as good, is what has bothered me since. Yes, size is obviously a big part of it, but if I hadn't heard that I would never be the lover, I think I might have been okay. Well, not okay, but at least not relationship killing. Yes, I overvalue sex. I get that. Yes, it is very important to me, and well, frankly, I want to be wanted as much as I want someone. If that makes any sense. Yes, I know whoever I date in the future will most likely have had someone who was either bigger, better, or whatever, but I would really hope that they would not be still hung up on it a few years later. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to follow Cheating Love Stories for more amazing videos. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.